So hello everybody and welcome back to another video, and this video is, as you can see, about Borderlands DLCs of all time. So BL1, TPS, BL2 and BL3. So that's what I'm gonna talk about today, and without further ado, let's get right into it, I guess. So as you can see, I have here tier list with S tier, A, B, C, D, E, and F tier. And as you probably might have seen on other channels of other topics. So let's start with S tier and start going through this. So in the S tier is Claptastic Voyage, Pirate's Booty from BL2, Bounty of Blood from BL3, and Claptrap Revolution from BL1. And Claptastic Voyage is here because it offers fantastic story elements and overall good gameplay, and also weapons that you got or get from this DLC are really good, like Laserdiscer or Player or Lock Cannon, or there's so much more good stuff in this DLC. So, and up next there's Bart's Booty, which is all about pirates, of course, and there's some good NPCs in this one, like Captain Scarlet, and story is really good on this one as well, and weapons that you get from this are pretty much like top notch. So like Pimpernel and Sandhawk, and those are like main ones that you get from this DLC. So that's pretty nice. Sorry about that. And up next there is Bounty of Blood, which is kinda similar about Pirate's Booty. Kinda similar of Pirate's Booty, but in this one it's like Western themed DLC, and it's all about hunting the bounty hunters and stuff, and some of the NPCs in this one are pretty good too, like Rose for example. And this is kinda like Pirate's Booty because this DLC too offers really good gear, so like a flipper or light show, or those are some examples. So it's really good DLC. And lastly in this tier is Claptrap Revolution, which is pretty great for BL1 DLC. I mean, I mean, story is pretty good on it, and you get at the end when you beat this DLC, you get that treasure room, which you can farm over and over and over again, and that even scales to your playthrough. So it's good to complete that DLC, and you even get free skill point from that DLC too. So it's pretty great DLC for BL1. So that's S tier. So let's move on to A tier now. So A tier we have Psycho Creek and Fantastic Foster Clock, which is, it's not S tier, but it's still pretty good. Weapons that you get from this are pretty good, and story isn't quite as S tier, but it's solid. I would say that. And side quests aren't that impressive, but it's still pretty good DLC. And there's some funny moments in this DLC, and overall it's pretty great DLC. Not as quite as good as S tier DLCs, but still it's solid A for this DLC. And another entry on this tier is Noxus Armory, which is because it's really great DLC. 2 for BL1, it offers much. It offers that armory you can farm or do the glitch farm on it. And also there's raid boss in this DLC, Gramrax. Only minus that I would give this DLC is that driving. And that is why it's in the A tier and not in the S tier. So that's why it's as it is. And B tier, I would put this Commander Lilith and Fight for Sanctuary maybe a bit higher, but I figured it would be good in tier B. So it's solid DLC, there is solid gear from this DLC, and story is really good from on this DLC. So only thing holding it back is like those enemies that you will encounter in this DLC, because they have those E-Tech snipers most of the time, so it can be a little bit rough at gameplay perspective, but other than that it's pretty great DLC. But those E-Tech snipers are pretty rough to deal with time to time. And next entry here is Hammerlock Big Game Hunt, which is it's okay I guess, but nothing too impressive. There is some good gear from this DLC, and that's why it's in entry B. So there is Rough Rider and Interfacer, which is two of best items in BL2, but still I would only rank this DLC on B, because story, I mean, it's good, but it isn't really nothing too impressive, I guess. So that's that. And let's move on to next one, which is BL1 Zombie DLC. I didn't really like zombies that much, so that's why it is in the B tier. But other than that, I guess story is fine, but you don't really get any gear from this DLC, which is kinda same. Only thing that you get from this DLC is Backpack STU, which is it's something I guess, but that's only thing that you will get by doing this DLC. So that's why it's only in B tier. It might be weakest BL1 DLC after the Underdome, but we'll talk about Underdome when I get there. And lastly in this tier is Handsome Jackpot. I really liked NPCs in this one. I think they are well done. Story was probably the best of BO3 DLCs, but one thing that is holding it back is its gear, I guess, because it isn't really the greatest compared to other DLCs like Psycho Crick and Fantastic Faster Clock and Bounty of Blood. So that's why it's only on B tier. But environments and story was really good on this DLC. So that's why it's in the B tier. And next up is C tier, which is kinda mediocre one. It's in the middle of the list, so it's kinda in the mediocre tier. And there is Torque DLC, which isn't really that impressive, I guess. It's like those enemies in that DLC are pretty much like copy paste from main game, little bit of change of appearance of those enemies, but and environments. Guess beatdown is pretty nice, but other than that, or it's okay, I guess, but nothing too impressive. And torque vendors in this DLC are pretty nice, but other than that, there isn't much new gear from this DLC. There is only two good items from this DLC, and they are Kitten and Slow Hand. And rest, I guess there is Crossfire and there is Meteor Shower, but there is bonus package and there is Bouncing Bonnie. So I don't know about those. Mainly it's just for Kitten and Slow Hand. So gear isn't really that great and story is okay, I guess. So it's mediocre, like it's in the C tier. And this one might piss some people off, but I put Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep in here, and reason why that is because it's mostly because enemy design in that DLC. So think about like skeleton mages or immortal skeletons, ones that hold sword in their back, and you cannot get second wins from those or kill skills from those. So that's why Tiny Tina Assault on Dragon Keep is in the C tier. And Arena Modeling's Temple is pretty painful too, because of all those traps that Arena offers. Really isn't that great. So if enemy design and modeling's temple was a bit different, this would be easily in S or A tier. But because of enemy design on this DLC, it's in the C tier. So let's move on to lower entries on this list. So next up is Holodome, and I think most of you agree with that. It isn't really that fun activity. You just run around in giant arena and find those enemies, and it takes too long, and I would say only beneficial things that you get from this DLC are Taser and Berrycan, and the rest of it, I guess Blanket can be used in some situations, but rest of it pretty much sucks. So there's only like 3 good things about this, and like I said, it's pretty long and pointless, and it's boring to run around and find those enemies because they are like other side of that dome or arena, so it's pretty much like hide and seek, and it's too tedious. So that's why it's in the D tier. And even worse than that is Underdome. Enemies like to hide in this one as well. There is some giant arenas. There isn't just one, there is like a three, and there is shorter rounds which are pretty much enough for that, but there's even longer ones which aren't really that fun to do because it's like really long. And like I said with last entry, the Holodome, this one too, enemies like to hide in arena, so you have to find those enemies, and that isn't really the most fun thing to do. I guess there is modifiers in this one which Holodome didn't have, but even still it's pretty boring. And only thing that you will get from this is extra skill point, which is nice, I guess, but that's only thing that you will get from that DLC. So, and even those bosses that spawn in Underdome, they don't drop anything, so you don't really get much from this. Or never mind, there is one use of Underdome too. Before you go on those arenas, there is like bank area where you can store your stuff. So I guess this offers like a bank in BL1, but other than that, also those vendors in this DLC are pretty nice because they scale up to your level, I think, and you get legendaries quite often from them. So guess that is its positive side, but other than that, arena part pretty much sucks. So let's just say that, and it's too long to complete, and it just isn't really the most fun thing to do. So that's enough of that, I think. And lastly, this might piss off some people off, this entry, but in the F tier is BL3's second DLC, Guns, Love and Tentacles. And the reason why this is in here, just put it in this way, it's too controversial for a video game. Just put it in that. So, and if you play this DLC, you know what I mean. So, theme. I'm not gonna say anything deeper, but you know what I mean. So, that's that. Other than that, this would be like a solid A, but because of that theme and controversial around it, it's F. So there is some good NPCs in this one and some good gear, but like I said, it's too controversial to have in Borderlands. So, and I don't really think that should be a thing. So That's the whole tier list that I came up with. Came up with. Sorry, I can't really talk time to time, but here it is. And comment down below if you enjoy this, and comment down below if you would change some of this, maybe move around. But anyways, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on video notifications and comment and like and all that good stuff. But for now, bye everybody, and see you on the next video. Bye.